Hi, welcome to my channel. It's Claire here from Inky Inspiration, and today's card is this what should we call it, a Cascade Tunnel Card. A little bit fiddly to do, but very easy. It can be done without a die cut machine if you need it to be. So I'll show you how to do it. So I'm starting with 2 sheets of A4 and I'm scoring them at 2.5, 5, 7.5 and 10, flicking it onto its short side and just putting a tiny little mark at the 4.5. Same on my next piece, so 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10. Spin it round onto the short edge and just put a little mark at the 4.5. You then need to grab yourself a pencil and ruler. So it's half term in the Harrison household, so there's no pencils to be found because nothing's where you leave it, so I have got myself a pen. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to mark this and just move up so that you can definitely see what I'm doing. In fact, I'll do it that way around. The top of my 4.5 mark to this corner here. So this will be your 10 score line. And you just want to draw yourself a line. If you're really good with the guillotine, you don't need a guideline, don't do one. I am shocking with the guillotine and do need a guideline. I don't know why this sellotape stuck on my ruler. And then I'm going to do the same on here. Just want to make sure that I'm at 4.5 because otherwise we'll end up with one side shorter than the other. So top of there to my 10-inch mark and draw myself a line. Grabbing your guillotine, if I can find the blade to go with it, and you're just going to come straight down that line that you've just drawn, and you're going to do that on both pieces of paper. So you should have something that resembles that. You then want to fold them, so your shortest one, fold into a valley. Next one into a mountain. You're just concertinaing it back on itself. And I would just grab my scissors at this point as well, and I'm just going to trim that corner off there. And do exactly the same with the next piece. So to create the mask and layers, I've tried many different ways to get this right, and the only way that I can do it is to actually physically draw it. So for my glitter, I've cut my width to 2.25. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it on, move that one out of the way, so that I've got my edge that I want around there. It's just rough. Turn it over and then just draw the line that I need to cut. Line that up on the guillotine and cut it. I suggest that you work with each card, with each side individually, otherwise you're going to, and I would personally end up with them pointing the wrong way and all sorts. If it's not quite right, I suggest you trim a little bit off the bottom, because that's just a straight line you've got to deal with. And that did just want to slither off. Then once you've done that, you can get your patterned paper, and for this the width is 2 inch, about where I want it. Flick it over and draw my line. Again, trim that off. Just double check it. Not too bad, just going to take another slither off the bottom here. Like I say, it's much easier to get the slither off the straight line. I know they're both straight, but instead of the diagonal. And then we can just get that glued on. So I'm going to lay these like this. If you want to use your die cutting machine to make your circles, you can. If you want to use a circle cutter, you can. What we need to do, however, is to tape these two together so that we don't move this part of the card while we're trying to cut it. So a bit of masking tape, which I've stuck to my trouser leg so that it's not going to pull off any of my card when I come to take it off. So the diameter of my circle cutter is set to 1¼ inches. No, it's not, 1½ inches. And I've put a tiny mark halfway up this length here. And then we're just going to cut. So take a deep breath. Actually, I'm going to put a new blade in first because that's not got a point on it. So we've got a nice sharp point. I'm going back into the dot that I've created. I'm going to take a nice deep breath and I'm going to ignore the dog that's now trying to come back in out of the garden. And I'm going to cut. Might take a couple of goes because there are a few layers. So I've moved a bit of card out the way and now I'm going to concentrate on the other one, the other side. So I need to spin it round and come in from this end. So I've got that taped. I move my circle cutter down to 1¼ inch. Mark the centre of that circle again, and I'm just going to do exactly the same. So there's quite a few layers there, so I did go really slowly and quite steadily. Went round a few times, but I did get there eventually. It made a bit of a mess there, but it doesn't matter because we're going to put an outline round it anyway. So that's what this card's looking like at the moment. What I'm going to do now is we're going to cut up to the halfway point on this seam here. Sorry, on this fold, not a seam. And then on this one, I'm going to cut down. Need to put a bit of glue on that corner there as well. About halfway. And then these are actually going to slide together. So this is how you would make your normal concertina card, Cascade card. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these. So flip them over. And you can see where I stuck it to the desk on a bit of glue that I'd spilt earlier. But that doesn't matter because this is going to be covered, and then we're going to put some white card over the top of it so that you can write your sentiment, write your message. So it doesn't matter. We can rescue it. It's because I'm such a messy crafter. Now I've got some really holographic card here. I don't know if you can see that. Really good fun. I'm going to use a circle cutter to cut myself some frames for around here. So my circles are cut and I'm going to start to put this together. So, the back's held together quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a piece of copier paper just in here, and this is purely to save that background in case I make a mess. I'm going to use one of my paperweights, which amounts to some rocks that my daughter's painted for me. We'll put that there. And, that's probably a little bit big, that one. I'll manage this bottom one without it. Just line it up. That's better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue on the back of this. I use circle dies for this one. I cut the front one out using the circle cutter, but I actually snapped my final blade, so I went for dies for this one. So it has got a stitched edge, but it doesn't have to have. And put that so that... Now this is going to help to hold the card itself together, but we are going to put some little batons in as well. And you can see, my fingers are that sticky. You can see now why we've put that copier paper in, just to save the mess that I'm bound to create. So while that were drying, just get this copy of paper out. Actually, I've made my sentiment to go in the middle here, which says "Number 1, Dad," and this is from a Crafter's Companion stamp set, which is Best Dressed Accessories. I'm going to put some glue on the back of here. I've heat embossed this using Wow embossing powder in Black Ebony. I'm going to put this one in the middle here. Get that lined up nicely. And then that copy of paper's going in so that we can deal with this part at the front here. So fold it over again, put my rocks in place, and I'm going to get my border on here. And then, like I said, we're going to create some battens to go on the back to hold it together. Sounds much, much, much more complicated than what it actually is. So to create the battens that are going to go inside the card, I've got a piece of card which is 2 inch wide. It's been scored at the 1 inch mark, and it is 2.25 inch long. I'm going to put glue down both sides. Actually, I'm going to put glue down both sides. Use liquid glue because you do need wiggle room because you're doing this behind. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. You want that piece of copy paper back because you're going to put that back into your card. So I'm going to slide that down there. And then this is going to go in between here. So you want it so that you can see that seam. Push it down so that you're not able to see it at the top. Make sure you can't see it underneath. And then just push that down. And then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. So the bottom piece is 2 inch by 1.25 inches. Again, scored and folded at that inch mark. Just going to move my copy of paper down to the bottom. And I'm going to do exactly the same at this part here. So glue on both sides. And slide it in. Just make sure you've got that fold in the middle. And then push it flat. Then I'm just going to do the same on the front piece. So I'm moving my copy of paper out the way. My copy of paper into the next layer. And these ones are the same size, so 2 inch, scored at 1 inch, but they are just 1/4 inch long. Put my glue on both sides. And then slide it in so that that join is that seam, that score mark even, is directly in the middle. So I've heat embossed my sentiment, fussy cut it out, put it on some holographic card and cut round that as well. That were a bit of a nightmare actually. I wish I hadn't done that, mainly because I couldn't see what I was doing. And I put it on 2 pieces of acetate. It's fairly heavyweight acetate. In fact, it could well be some packaging that I've cut up, I can't decide. And I'm going to put some glue on these and I'm going to attach it onto the back of these bits here. So we've got some room, we can go up to this so it'll still fit in his envelope. Don't actually want to be that high, I don't think. About there will be fine. Just hold that a moment till it takes. This sentiment and the papers actually are out of an old Papercraft Society box. It is box number 5. So the little die cuts are also out of the Papercraft Society box, and then I've just stamped and coloured up and die cut out this bottle, which is a made to surprise one from the Have a Drink on Me stamp and die set. And the dad I found in a Time for Tea Designs stamp set called Lucky Duck. And I just thought, it is a Father's Day card at the end of the day. Another dad on there won't hurt. And there we go. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.